But again, like any character whose powers are like I'm strong, I'm just like bored. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I get it. I know, but people love it. People love Ben. So
Straight people love it. Look how
exactly.
buff I am.
Ugh, boring. Whereas we're like, she looks fabulous. Her wig is
I know.
ridiculous.
Didn't
So
like his
gay.
wig though. But like, look
We're
how.
so gay. Ridiculous. Hello and welcome to Incomplete Geeks, a gay geek podcast where we talk about all sorts of geeky things. Sometimes we know a lot about it, sometimes our knowledge is a little bit.
Incomplete.
That's John, I'm Nick, I'm Elastic Fantastic. We're going to talk about some exciting news featuring the Fantastic Four. Thank you for joining us for a special emergency drop-in session of Incomplete Geeks where we talk about some exciting news and some trailers.
And we are here to help you out and be geeking about it. Did it sound
Yes,
like I
we.
came in right after you
It
ended?
sounds like you're not sure where you are, which I suppose is like kind of like on brand for us. So we've had a
Okay.
fun, exciting week today with a teaser, not a trailer, it's a
I'd,
teaser,
I'd call it a teaser,
and
yeah.
some rumors, and we feel we should address them both before we carry on with our geeky lives.
We have to. We interrupted everything that we were trying to do, like around episodes. We're like, no, no, let's talk about this. This is out, and we just need to geek out about it.
Because I think both have a similar theme, because I've labeled the episode for this like excitement and dread at this news. Like it's equal parts both. Like it could
Ugh.
go both of these projects, if they go well, will be
Yeah,
wonderful and joyous. And if they go wrong, I will be fucked off.
and it's exactly like we spoke of before, where it was like we are whose fault is it that we're nervous about this? It's fucking just the fact that we can't rely on these studios anymore.
No, exactly. So let's start with I think it was first was the trailer for the Fantastic Four, right? That one came out before.
Yeah, I don't remember. No, it was just a few days ago, wasn't it? Doesn't matter. Let's do it
Let's
first.
start with the Fantastic Four because I feel
Yeah,
like they've had more press and it's more definitive, and we've spoken about them before.
true.
I'm still kind of ambivalent about this film. I just
Hmm.
really want it to be good. How do you feel after having seen the teaser trailer thing?
It's a good question. A, l- I feel a little bit interested. More, I feel a
Huh?
little bit more interested than I was before. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my excitement level has increased or decreased
Same.
by the way. I'm like, oh, okay. We've known that this is coming for a long time. We know the
Yeah.
stakes. We know what's at risk in terms of keeping this universe alive, I suppose. Um, and all we're given is kind of more details about the inner workings. The thing is, okay. To be fair, there's a couple of things I am more excited about, which I'll get to. But in general, I'm just like, okay, this looks like a Fantastic Four film, and that's all it is.
It just looks like a film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not particularly more excited about it. It just looks like a fantastic. It just looks like a Marvel film, which is
Which is all right.
fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. Um, Nothing is unique about it. It's the same sort of tropes. It's like we all kind of know the story, so they talk about it, introduce the characters. Like we all know what the bad guy is. Like here's a little teaser of it. Ooh,
Yep.
isn't this exciting?
Look
Are
at the
there Easter
outline
eggs? Ha
ahead.
ha
Yeah.
ha! All this sort of stuff. It feels just it's very formulaic, which is fine, but at this point, I don't
It
know.
hasn't
It's not
sparked any sort of
exciting.
like.
No.
Nothing's been like, ooh, yay! I can't
It's like,
wait.
oh my god! Did you
Exactly.
see that? It's like, oh my god, they're gonna do that. None of it's
Nothing's
that.
been
Like, I know
ground.
it's
No ground has been broken.
no, I
Um.
know it's set in the '60s, and that's kind of cute. I like what is it, retro futurism they call or whatever, where like it's set in the
Yeah.
past trying to be futuristic. I like
Yeah.
that, and I like the fact that we're not going to get an origin story. That seems to be the case because they're referring to before it happened.
I
So
like that. I like that a
I'm
lot.
so grateful for
I'm.
that. We'll get
I'm.
some little
I
flashbacks,
think so.
like,
I think it'll be.
and that'll
I
be
think
it.
because the fact is, maybe they planned it, but I think is it Pedro Pascal is basically says to Sue Storm, the first time we went up,
Yeah,
we weren't changed, whatever. So I like the idea that we're going to start the story,
great.
and they all have their powers already, very
Thank
similar to
God.
what they did with Spider-Man. So they've learned that lesson.
Yeah,
Um, and then the flashback. I think it'll just be flashbacks. Obviously, we see
that's yeah,
flashbacks of Ben before he's changed. So
yeah.
that's definitely part of it. My prediction of it. I mean, people are already saying how is it going to connect to the MCU, which I think is a fair question, but I don't
Mm.
think we're going to expect any answers now, and I don't think we should. And I think we should let the film be the film and
I
see.
don't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't really care because at this point it's not advancing a plot that we've already got in motion. There's no Thanos threat. I mean, we know
yeah,
it's a secret wars is the end point of it, which makes sense if they're from a different universe, timeline,
that's the thinking.
whatever. That's fine, but like we're not invested in that at this stage. There's no real build up to it.
Yeah, and
So
to be fair, we do know. Like, I mean, is this still considered the multiverse saga? I think
yeah, I guess so because Secret Wars is multiverse, so that makes
Yeah, and
sense
they
if
bring it
it's
all
still there.
together in Secret Wars. But then we have what the Fantastic Four, probably in a different universe. Because if this tech was around in the '60s, how come we haven't? Or even if this big Galactus threat has been around, how no one's talking about it. Um, but
Yeah.
also, uh, the X-Men. We saw Beast in an end trailer thing, and he's very clearly in a different universe.
Yes.
Which one? I don't think we know. Then, of course, we've got the different universe that Doctor Strange spends a lot of time in Multiverse of Madness, when it's like, okay, so these things do exist, so they're
Yeah.
just going to use them, and then how they bring it all together is it might be the sort of the Thanos esque type of thing that brings everything together. So if they introduce like a kind of a threat, even if it's like a stinger or a trailer, a teaser at the end of this film, when it's like, ooh, Doctor Doom is poking his head in,
Yeah.
looking around at this, like, okay, fine, this is going to be the through line. That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that
Yeah.
allows this film to be its own film, which I think it needs to be after all the sort of ups and downs of the last.
See, I don't think it's going to be its own film. I think it's going to be very much the jumping off point
Do you think?
for. I think the purpose of. Well, I don't know. My prediction is, call me on it later. Like it looks like Reed's looking into it. Like he's gonna look. He's doing the calculations to figure out
Multiverse stuff.
negative zone.
Oh,
That
right.
sort of stuff. Because if I'm recalling correctly, correct me in the comments. When Sue was pregnant, because of their irradiated bodies and because Franklin Richards is so powerful, when she was pregnant, she had a lot of health problems when she was about to give birth. So she had to give birth in the negative zone, otherwise, she would have died. I don't know
Right.
why, but I remember reading that on a blurb somewhere. And if that's the case, Fantastic Four first steps.
Oh, clever. Yeah.
Perhaps that's what he's trying to do. They go into a look to try and get to the negative zone, and then
Negative
they go
zone.
off and they start this whole go into a different reality, that sort of thing, or realizes the reality. I feel like it's going to be a starting point. I
That makes,
predict.
that's a good prediction because obviously it ties in with the first. No one, unless we're reading too much into the title, which
100%. I
maybe.
don't think so because they keep saying it's like, yes, it has some meanings, some of which I can't talk about now,
No,
which could be the babies.
it could be the okay. That makes sense because then that could be there is a lot of and this flew past me as well when he talks about there's an emphasis on family, which there
Yes,
always
that's
is
true.
in Fantastic
Yeah,
Four
yeah.
things, because
First
obviously
family.
three of them are literally related. And yeah, and they're called the first family, but that could also be a red herring to actually know they're starting a family as well. So
Yeah,
maybe that could be, yeah, that's a good point.
it
No,
could be. That's
Frank,
fine. I don't mind any of that. What I would love is some sort of using that to make them different kinds of heroes. Like if they're like Spider-Man's different kind of hero because he has to deal with being broke and secret identities and that sort of stuff.
yeah,
If they do a something play on that, an interesting play on that.
that'd be nice.
John,
I have a question, Nick.
yes, oh God.
Is Franklin Richards a mutant?
He was for the longest time, but for some goddamn reason, they've retconned him to not be a mutant again. I don't know
Right,
why. I don't know what the reason was, because he was a mutant right up through and in the Krakoa age, and it was during Krakoa. They're like,
right,
oh no, it turns out he's not. That makes
right.
zero sense to me. Stop fucking making these cool reality warping mutants with lineage and then
Yeah.
saying like, nah, like stop
L-
it.
With lineage and heritage, and then
Yeah,
I mean, was there even a reason? Was there even a reason
I
why they
don't know. I
ripped
don't
up?
know because unlike Wanda, it's not like a movie rights thing. I
Yeah,
don't
exactly. Well,
understand it.
I don't know.
So
It's probably the same. It's probably tied in. Like I don't know why they did that. Anyway, I didn't know. I thought he was, and then I was like, hang on,
Yeah, up
am I
until very
remembering that wrong?
recently. Yeah, really recently. So it would have
Okay.
been.
One other thing I did like about the trailer as well was I am very pleased, but it was balanced by things I wasn't pleased with. I'm very pleased with Vanessa Kirby in this
She
trailer.
looks incredible.
She looks great,
And I
and
saw. Did you see like the little? They did a little launch party before the teaser in a hangout. It was awful. It was so badly done.
oh really?
But they like the guys are all there in like trousers and a jacket, and she's there in this tiny little gorgeous dress with the side all the
Really?
in the highest heels. She looks stunning.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she's. I mean, I've not seen her in a lot, but everything I've seen her in, I've been very pleased with. She's an excellent, she's a massively talented actress,
yeah,
and we know that she has the sort of the poise and grace to play Lady
yeah,
Margaret, to Princess Margaret, but then also
yeah.
she's got like, yeah, she carries it very well, and I'm very pleased with how she looks and how she's
She's going to be great
presented.
stuff. Good Sue. She's going to be really good Sue. I would really love if they, for once, made Sue the leader rather than Reed. Because for a lot of the
That's
time, because they
fine.
have interchanging characters, a lot of the time in the 90s she was. And I think that would be really nice if we just don't assume that the man is the head of the household and is in
Yeah.
charge. I'd love it if he's like, Sue, what do you think we should do? And she just took over. I don't know if that's my ultra feminism going too far.
Well, it is very forward for the '60s, I'll say.
I know, but I think Pedro would look really good in that. Like he's kind of quirky. He's like, Sue, what should we do? I don't know. I
I don't
feel like
know.
it's a really good
Smartest man
opportunity.
alive.
Was
That's it.
all
Um,
that would
I'm
be
not.
cool.
That would be cool. I would like that. I mean, I hope that they. I mean, it. She deserves it. As a character, one thing I'm not as pleased with is Johnny Storm. I just don't. I can't. I can't stop. I mean, obviously, he's got very big shoes to fill in terms because Chris Evans
Yeah,
was the gay awakening for so many of us,
yeah,
watching him steaming off in his draped towel, whatever.
yeah.
But this guy, I don't know. I don't know this actor. The only thing I just keep seeing the weird Caesar from Gladiator 2, and he's just so fucking weird, and I'm just like
I thought he was very good in Gladiator.
he was unnerving, which maybe was the point, but I
I don't
I
dislike
can't stop
him.
saying
I
that.
think the difference between like Chris Evans was just so sexy and
Yeah,
ridiculous. Johnny Storm was never like this giant, buff, gorgeous person. He was, because it's the 60s, they were drawn quite normal human proportions. I think he looks fine, but his wig is nuts. His hair looks fucking
is that why
awful.
I think he looks weird? Because it's actually a wig.
Awful. It's that awful blonde wig. It's you didn't need to be that blonde. I know she's got a terrible. Her wig isn't actually that good, I'm gonna say. In some of those scenes where she's doing the light powers, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, that kind of looks like it. Sorry.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah, I was less. I don't see wigs anymore. That's how
I
awful I
see
am.
wigs. I'm
Like you are.
very picky about wigs and accents.
What
I
about
will not.
Pedro's wig? They're all. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Oh, he might be, but I don't think he is. But he might
He's
be.
he's toned down his accent a lot as well. He's obviously got it's just a I guess a Pedro Pascal accent, but I didn't hear any sort of weird accents, but I could tell that his was like very Pedro Pascal. But
I'm
anyway,
interested. Yeah. We'll
um,
see.
and then what do we think about then? I don't care. The end. Let's move on.
I've learned. I don't really care. I've learned that the trailer CGI is not the movie CGI
I That's also a thing.
because they have to get the trailer out, the teaser out, way before the final effects are finished. So if he looks a little bit clunky, which he does,
He looked a bit
um,
too animated, if that
yeah,
makes
a
sense.
little bit
He looks too
cartoony.
drawn, cartoony,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then Herbie did as well. But I think Herbie has a
Herbie
lot
was
more
great. Herbie, I
emotion.
have no problem with. No complaints about Herbie. He's a robot. He's
I don't know
cute.
anything about this character, so whatever. But like the motion looked different, and obviously Ben Grimm's look is very different, and he's still got that sort of oh I'm a look like a monster now. But again, like any character whose powers are like I'm strong, I'm just like bored. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I get it. I know, but people love it. People love Ben. So
Straight people love it. Look how
exactly.
buff I am.
Ugh, boring. Whereas we're like, she looks fabulous. Her wig is
I know.
ridiculous.
Didn't
So
like his
gay.
wig though. We're like, look
We're
how.
so gay. Ridiculous.
I hope that. Let's. What do you hope and hope for this film? I'll start. I
Go,
hope.
please.
I hope they do not fucking draw a figure four in the sky with Johnny's blazing See, don't do that. Just don't do that. It doesn't make sense. How are we gonna leave trails of flame in the air? It doesn't make sense. What are you farting as you go? I don't get it. Just don't do that. It was silly. And also the number four isn't a calling card. It isn't a thing. Just fucking don't do it. Anyway, rant over.
What do I not
Sip
want?
my tea. Want or not want?
I just don't want to be. I don't want it to be too much of the same formula
Yeah.
because there's nothing unique about the tone of this film. Yes, it's set in the 60s, but Captain America was set in the 40s. It's the same
Yeah.
Marvel formula, unlike where they, with Doctor Strange, they tried to make it different, but then insisted on having the Marvel formula, which is why it was fucking awful. I feel like this
You
is
mean the
just pure straight Marvel, like, dun, setup, joke, dun, action, stops, all is lost, thing, action, teaser. I don't want it to be too formulaic. I need a different human angle or different tone or something.
something? Yeah.
Because, if the big bad is Galactus, it'd be great if the big bad wasn't that. And, it's like, I don't know, something just a little bit more to make me care about the characters. Because we've got to care about them real quick. Like, they're going to be leading a lot of this. We have to love them straight away. We
Yeah.
don't have time for a slow burn. So, however they do that, I don't know.
Yeah, we have to sympathize with them very quickly
Yeah.
and be on their side against a
Yeah.
common foe where we can root for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I don't know, if there's a threat very early on and it's not Galactus, it's like, okay, well, this has to carry the film. But also if they don't have a clear threat and they're just like bumbling around like a families do, like ha ha la la da da da, and there's no instigating incident to get the story rolling, then we're bored.
And the fact that we don't have to do an origin story
Yeah,
is a good thing. That will help with that because
it's great.
we start the story of their lives as heroes rather than getting to the point like, oh, we've realized we're heroes. Like, no, I want to hear the story of them as a family that does this and whatever, that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So
I mean, they can still be learning something about
of
themselves,
course that's
but
the whole point.
already
It's a
knowing
journey,
that
but
they have powers and understanding them and everything.
learning how to be a superhero or figuring out or getting powers is not an interesting story. It's not a unique story. It has to be a little bit different, or
Yeah.
even just the connection between the two of them. Because the Avengers are not a family; they're co-workers. There's not
Yeah.
really much love there. I think that's the big
Yeah.
difference. That's why people are obsessed about the X-Men because there's found family,
Yes.
which is a very big
No,
queer thing, whereas these are family.
they're just
So
family.
straight white family. So it appeals to that kind of stuff.
It
So
does.
if they do it well, it could be good. I don't know.
Speaking of origin stories, and we can make
Yeah.
a segue if you want to, but this probably isn't in your plans, but Tom and I watched the first episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of origin stories, have you seen it?
No, I've cancelled
Okay.
Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, you did say. Anyway, yeah. Minor spoilers then, but like
Oh, I don't
basically,
care.
but like the first episode is basically how we were talking about how we don't want to see this origin story
Hmm.
again. It does it very well because it does technically show how he gets his powers in the first episode, but it is within like the first 2 minutes, and it just basically sets up how he is before he gets powers. Like a bumbling sort of nerdy school person, and then the origin story is completely different. Like it's not anything about he still gets bitten by a spider, but it's not like he's not some sort of internship at Oscorp. It's not anything. He's just sort of shows up to school. There's an attack from like another dimension or something, whatever, and he just gets in the way, and a spider bites him. Like that's it. And then he's got the powers. He gets bitten, and then it's basically first credits, opening credits, and then the next time we do the sort of opening, and then the next thing is 3 months later. So we're already jumping into like, okay, he's got his powers. He's still like working on how to, get the right
Mm,
gadgets going and getting his name out in the
mm.
social medias, whatever. Um, but it's not. I'm very pleased that it didn't fall into that sort of trope of let's be on the journey of him exploring how he
Mm.
got his powers and him getting used to them all. It's just sort of here it is. Boom! You introduce a couple characters, including Nico Minoru, who's a classmate of his. Go figure. and a couple of people, and then it's like, uh, boom, 3 months later, he's got his powers.
I wonder if that's because of the TV format rather than a film.
Maybe.
Because you wouldn't want to do like the origin story over multiple ones. Maybe like it's easier to do it in like the before the credits kind of
Yeah.
let's go, and now
And
we
the thing is,
start.
like we said before as well, we know this origin story. We don't need it. So I think
It
they
doesn't
knew that.
matter. But it also doesn't matter if it's not a character. Again, if there's no Uncle Ben moment, if it's no character defining things, then who cares how he has
Yeah.
his powers? Same with the Fantastic Four. It's like, oh, they got them from space. Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I needed to know. I don't need to go
That's
through it with
that's
them.
yeah.
The Hulk got his powers from thing. Cool.
I
Fine.
think it's because we've been so inundated with superhero movies. They've been around for a long time, but especially in the last 10 years, we've had like five a year. Like we get it. We don't go to that film to discover how they got their powers. We go to them to discover how they use them. What does it mean about their
Yeah.
character? Like what are they
Yeah.
going to do with it, kind of
It's
thing.
about the character. I don't
Yeah.
care about the origin story. Did we get a teaser for this before we got a teaser for Thunderbolts, which comes out first?
No, we've had a teaser for Thunderbolts.
Have we? Oh,
Yeah,
clearly
it's
didn't leave much of an impression on me.
you haven't looked at it. I'm trying to remember now because I remember it was yeah because they all kind of like get invited to this sort of warehouse looking thing, and then they get attacked by some. That was
Yeah,
a teaser,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
La, la, la,
yeah,
la.
yeah,
You got it.
yeah.
Yeah, so obviously very memorable for you then.
Something about a warehouse.
So Wonder and Dread, no Amazement and Dread. What's the title of this episode?
Excitement and dread.
Excitement and Dread. Dread Excitement. No,
Yeah,
let's not do that again.
Wonder Dread, Wonder Bread.
Wonder.
Um,
So that's that.
yeah, the other ones are rumors,
Yeah.
but it's been really
Is it like an
loudly rumored. So I don't know. You
yeah?
know, there's quite a lot of these
Now,
rumors going around
question
about
for
it.
you: is it genuinely like a poorly kept secret, or is it like a plant? Is it a oh we're just gonna let this slip? Oopsie, haha. Guess what? This is coming. Get excited about it,
Is
and
it
then
a
we
slip?
are. I don't
No,
know. I'm asking you. I didn't. You showed it to me.
I think it's probably more of industry, not a secret, but not an announcement. Because at this stage, the rumors.
There
We're
is
talking
no.
about Buffy, by the way. Yes, woo! Next segment, Geekery of the Weekery,
It's so good
woo!
at I am. So
Um,
rumors of a new Buffy the Vampire Slayer
series.
sequel, not a
Yes, yes,
remake, a
yes. It's this
sequel. And
revival, that sort of thing, because it's reviving the series.
it's not a sequel. It is a
It's the
sequel.
sequel.
It's
The
not a
revival
remake.
of the series, the sequel. Yes,
SMG, as we call her in the biz,
yes,
is rumored to be participating somehow as
yes.
what? A producer? A sequel?
Potentially, but also script approval. She's the star. I think at this point it's finalizing a script and a concept for the show. And if
Uh-huh.
she doesn't want to do it, or if it's shit or misogynistic, she'll be like, "No, I'm not going to do it," and that's doesn't sign on, and no show is made. You can't do a Buffy show without Buffy. You could do
Yeah.
bullshit. You could do other stuff,
Hmm.
but people don't want that. I think they floated that idea a few years ago, and people were just not up for it. We want Sarah Michelle Gellar back on our screens, and she's more open to it now since doing a few more shows. She's like, maybe it would be fine.
Yeah.
Um,
She probably looked at like the the reaction from the LGBTQ
after the
community.
after the 20th anniversary, like the outpouring of love, and when she was
Mhm.
trying to promote that Wolf show, and now she's trying to promote Dexter.
What?
Despite
Dexter?
she's in the prequel series of Dexter.
As in the Michael C. Hall Dexter. I knew that was getting
Yes.
another show.
Yeah, it's on now.
Prequel?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Part
it's
of it.
his origins of when he's like joins the police force
Who's
or whatever.
who plays young Dexter?
Oh,
You.
Patrick Gibson. He's this young little sexy ginger guy who was in the OA. Do you remember that show ages ago? Vaguely.
On Netflix was it
I think
OA?
so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't watch it. It was like a bit sci-fi, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Very sci-fi. It was too
Okay.
sci-fi for me.
Okay. I haven't
He's
seen it.
in. It's quite sexy.
Okay.
And she's in it. She's like the gruff sergeant police force thing,
Mhm.
and I'm sure it's garbage, but we
But we're
love
gonna watch it anyway.
her.
We
We
love her.
just want her, and so maybe she's more open to it now. So I think
I
at this stage, yeah, it's just they're trying to figure out what the show would be
Yeah.
and writing a script that she would say yes to.
I'm frankly not well, I'm not surprised it's happening. I'm surprised it took so long. It's such a beloved show, and I'm sure you're gonna say why, but also because Joss Whedon was such a big part of it. Does he need things as well? Are you pointing at me? I don't know what you're pointing.
Yes, I think that's hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah, it's Joss Whedon, and also, but I'm surprised it took so. Okay, I'm surprised it took so long because we've had a couple other shows where it's just that have been revived, just or some sort of spin-off because it's banking on that nostalgia. I'm thinking in peculiar of like Star Trek Picard. That's clearly banking on the nostalgia of the original Next Generation show. So you had a show where originally it was just him with a few cameos from the old show, which we loved, and then it would. And then by the end of it, they were just like throwing everybody who was in the original show. Just get them out. We want to see them again. They could do the same thing with this show. Like if Buffy was in it as a character, as an older character, then what's to stop Willow from coming back? Or, I mean, who else?
You can't
Giles.
have Spike and Angel
You
because
can't. Oh
because
wait, there's no.
they would have aged.
And
The actors have aged, and the characters shouldn't have.
Spike
He
died.
comes back in the Angel show, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he does. Oh, that kind of took it out though. I didn't like that. I was like,
Yeah,
all
no,
right, I get it, but also
that whole ain't the finales of Angel was garbage. Anyway,
I forgot it.
my
Yes,
theory.
Nick.
Um, I feel like when they did the reunion, when they talked about it, like, would you do a reboot, a reunion, revival, sequel? And she's like, I think it was such a perfect ending. It was such a great show, and we all agree
True.
it was.
True.
I wouldn't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
However, what I really think she meant was like, I'm never working with Joss Whedon again. Are you fucking crazy? But his
Okay.
reputation wasn't tarnished back then, and since then, it's come out that like, good God, he's garbage. So the fans back then wouldn't have accepted a show without Joss Whedon running it because we
Right.
still loved him.
Yeah.
Now we're like, I
Now
don't
we
think we'd
can.
accept a show with him.
Yeah.
So people like Sarah and Charisma Carpenter could come back because they won't have to work with Joss Whedon because he doesn't own it. The
Mhm.
production company owns the
Mhm.
rights to it. He still gets paid for it, that sort of stuff, but he doesn't own the rights to say a reboot. It's the network that owns
Yeah.
it.
He
So
doesn't
they can do it without
have,
him.
they call it the right of refusal. He doesn't have that. It's basically, I mean, I don't know if has he created any characters that are, that he owns. Like, obviously, the world is those people who show up in the title credits of every episode because they helped with the original film.
I
Um,
feel he'll still get paid for it. He's
Executive
still
producer,
created the IP of if the show is called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he'll still get paid for it, but he can't say no
there's no
because the
creative control.
show because Fox paid for it. They
Yeah.
produced it just like they produce a film or anything like that. They own the images and the stuff so they can do it. And that's my kind of thinking is like she's always like absolutely not, never again, never working with him again, I'm not doing that. And since that's been like you can do it without him. Oh
Yeah. I think there's an element of how to work that out, how to make that
yeah.
happen.
And yeah, so being able to leave him and i'm I am very, very confident in when I say this, they will leave out Xander as well.
I fucking hope so.
I think they
I
will
think,
because whenever you hear, I've been watching Charisma Carpenter on TikTok. When they're like, "Are you still friends with people?" She's like, "Yes, I'm still friends with David and Emma and Sarah, obviously."
Emma's been in so many things that I like. I mean, I'm yeah, but she doesn't mention,
But and yeah, and she's like, "Oh, Seth Green, he was so great."
and that's it. That's it.
There's
That's
no
it.
Nicholas Brendan there, so
I
I
think
feel, and because he's a absolute shit show of a human
he is
in
now.
real
Yeah,
life, he wouldn't be invited onto a set as
I
a
think so. They
drug
should
addict.
write him out. Like 20 years have gone, 25. Well, would you say 25 years have gone on?
I think 25 at
Um,
this point, right?
Xander, the character,
Died.
has died of a heart attack.
Bye.
Something unremarkable,
Mm.
and maybe he'll be represented in like a headstone or something.
Yeah,
That's what
something like that.
that's what we need.
So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily happening, but there's stuff that it
There's
might
there's more
happen.
talk about it than there has been ever before. And the fact is that we're
Yeah.
talking about it and we are excited about it, and sure, we're not the only ones. I think that kind of the zeitgeist is going to push it and be like, yes, we want this. If we're vocal enough and say we want this and we're excited about it, we talk about it, it'll help it move along.
With Hulu has the rights to it.
Does it?
Yeah, because it's Fox Disney, so Hulu's going to be producing it. So that's fine.
Right. Okay.
That's
Oh,
good.
that's fine for us because then we can get on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You have to get Disney Plus
So
back again.
it's fine. I'll get Disney Plus back when I need to, but they won't have my background money. Um, Sarah Michelle Gellar open to it, and they've got a director attached for the pilot, which may or may not be a good fit. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
and it may change.
and also a director for the first episode doesn't mean a director for every episode. Like
True.
most shows, especially streaming ones, they can't do that because they, you're prepping for the
Yeah.
next episode. So Chloe
Yeah.
may do the
Yeah.
first one, but God knows we have lots of different ones.
Well, back in the day, it was always like usually it's the person who created the show writes and directs the first episode, maybe even the second one, and then also the finale, and then
Yes.
people kind of come in to fill in the blanks. But I don't think it's like that anymore. I think it's more like like you said, if it's streaming, you have one person, maybe a group of people who sort of they create an outline for the whole
You have the
show.
showrunner, yeah.
The show, yeah, the showrunner, and they give tasks to individual teams of people.
Because
Say
they've
you have
written
this
this.
episode with you have to talk about this and this, and this has to
Yeah,
happen. Go write it. Go create
they've
it.
written this. Yeah, where they've written the season arc or whatever, that
Yes.
sort of stuff. But they
Yeah.
hand off the writing and the directing of individual ones in between because they can't do all of it, and they have to like right. Well, you're prepping for one, while you're doing another, when you're filming and that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
which is fine, cool, great. What do you want this show to be, and what do you not want it to be?
I'm just thinking about how specific I want to be right now. Like, do I want to say? I don't know. Like, I think as long as it is a genuine continuation of the story and it honors that story, while at the same time creating a new story with new characters. I
Story.
don't know if Buffy should be the central character because I think that is a very good opportunity to have another. Considering that there's like hundreds of Slayers or maybe
Mm.
dozens of Slayers now, it's like that allowed Buffy the character to live her own life instead of being tied to this sort of
Mm.
this life that she was kind of bound to, and I want her to have that. I don't know if if she's like a grandmother now, that'd be really cool. Like she can do this, and she still kicks ass once in a while when she has to sort of kill a vampire. But there's so many other people who can take that role from her. I think I maybe want a different character, a different main character,
Okay,
and then
well,
I
I
want
completely disagree.
okay. I want a lot of cameos from the Earl show. I want
Oh,
Buffy. I want Willow. I want who else is alive? Chris Carpenter, Cordelia.
she's dead.
Um, did she die? She
Cordelia
got an
dies.
angel.
Yeah, she has an angel.
Fucking angel.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I don't. I want Buffy to be the main star. I
Do you want her to
don't.
be the same kind of kick-ass?
In a
Kick.
way, but what's super, super important is, as you said, it's a new story. They have to evolve the story.
Yeah.
Um, I will not watch it if it's a dystopian future.
Oh God, why would they do?
Because it makes it more dramatic stakes if they're like stakes. Sorry.
Yeah,
um,
it's true though.
if they're like the rise of the Slayers has meant the rise of the Hellmouth, something like that. Where so it's like a
Multiple Elmos.
post-apocalyptic wasteland where like
No.
we got to find the next There's which Slayer is it for quadrant C49?
You can
No,
increase the stakes, but not increase the dystopia.
we'll come up with a different
Increase the danger.
twist on it.
Yeah.
But like we've seen, we now live far more than we did back then in a world of superhero shows, in a world where we're so used to TV shows and films set in this world where heroes are everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not a leap. Like in this world, 1 out of every 1,000 women is a fucking Slayer. How does that change everything?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you could
Maybe.
just have Slayers be the superheroes, which they're not,
Yeah.
air quotes, they are. But
Like.
I would want, for me, it's all about the character. I really want Buffy and interesting things. Like, what is a 47-year-old Slayer? She's the oldest Slayer at
That's
that
a good point.
point.
Yeah.
What does she do? What's important to her? What does she struggle with? That's, do I still feel like, oh God, my back hurts? I don't know. Anything. How has her journey evolves, so she's not just, I'm sad my mom died, you know. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
different. She
yeah.
doesn't have, well, her mom's still dead, but you know, a lot of it was like,
What?
I'm the only one who can deal with this. It's like not the case
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
Now, what are you stressed about? If they find a way to cleverly evolve it, because it's for us, it's for people who love the first show. If they take, because we were, you know, not all of us, but if we were in high school when she was in high school, now we're in our 40s with
We've
her,
got different. We've
to
got different
move that
things we
story
want to
to
see.
what it's like. It was always about the perils of being in high school. What's the perils of being in this world now?
Yeah,
Fucking politics, fucking Syria,
menopause.
Israel, anything like economic crashes, COVID, all this stuff is like there's perils of being an adult too.
Yeah,
If they cleverly do that, sort of subverting that genre of
and
like, you survived high school, it's like now you need to survive just life, because that
life. Yeah,
feels like a thing we talk about. It's like,
and
oh
that'll
fuck,
appeal to most of the viewers as
yeah,
well. You know, because obviously the whole story, the whole lore is about this uh, high school age girl who develops these powers, and then you don't hear about older Slayers because they usually die.
die,
You know,
yeah,
but now if we have, I can see your point. Like I think that would be cool. I mean, I'd be happy if that happened. I think we do agree on the fact that it has to sort of be faithful to that original story and just continue that story. Like like
yeah,
be in the same world without making it too different.
yeah. um
Just evolve it in an interesting way.
I'm what I'm
Tell a new point. Tell a new story with a new point in the same framework as the original show.
Yeah, what's the threat going to be? Because the threat was very stylized back in the day. It's, you know,
Yeah,
adaptation of a horror movie, that sort of stuff. So
basically, yeah.
what is the equivalent now? And use that to put her in
Hmm.
funny situations so she can be sarcastic. It is going to be difficult for someone to write Buffy speak other than
As an
Joss.
adult,
Well, Marty was in it as well. I wonder if Marty Nixon,
Noxon,
Noxon.
yeah,
You know,
a
that
couple
other
other
people
people as
did
well.
write it, but getting Buffy speak right as a 47-year-old, not a teenager, that's
What
really
if
difficult not to be cringy.
I think it should be? I think you should be considering it's not. I mean, it's never for kids, but considering it's like more for adults, I think that she should swear a couple
A
times.
lot. I would love her to be like, fuck's sake,
Like, God damn it,
fuck you, you piece of the fucking
get the
shit.
fuck off me! Stick in the heart.
But there's all
Um,
sorts of interesting things because, you know, like, sexual harassment and like misogyny and on vampires with podcasts. You know, it could be anything.
you know
Like
what?
the
Because like
threats of the world. Oh, I'm excited again.
if they
Sorry,
were
I'm getting excited
it,
again.
it also ties it into realism as well because I think
Yes.
obviously in the previous show it was all just fantasy gothic horror, and if they make this they could change it. I mean, they could change it sort of like the way that True Blood made vampires common knowledge that they all came out of of the coffin or whatever they called it. Like obviously if all these slayers are being awakened, it would make sense that some of them be like, what is this, and they go to like the press finds out whatever.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing. I think the world's going to know about
Hmm.
vampires and
Hmm.
stuff because there's going to be too many of them, and that I think that will
Yeah,
be the world that they live in, where this is common knowledge, and whether
yeah,
that makes the threat bigger or less, that sort of stuff. But yeah, I
or
want
more
it to be about
numerous
the perils of being in your 40s, simply selfishly, without Xander.
without.
Perfect. You couldn't make perfect.
So we have some agreements and we disagree on some things, but that's
Great.
okay. I want to see what happens. What do our listeners think? Do they agree with you? Do they agree with me? What do you have a new viewpoint? I'd like to know. How can they get a hold of us, Nick?
You can write into the podcast, incompletegeekspodcast@gmail.com.
If we have, we can make a few TikToks out of this episode. If you want
Are
to
you, if
join
you're
in,
watching this on TikTok?
if you're TikTok, join in the conversation on TikTok or on Instagram. Our handles there are at Incomplete Geeks. While you're there, give us a like, follow us, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. It helps the channel out. We appreciate it.
Let us know and we will react to your Buffy and Fantastic Four hot takes.
Yes,
We are both excited and terrified about both of these properties.
we're dreading it.
And we spoke a lot about them. I'm getting more and more excited. I'm sure I'll speak about it again. I'm sure I got
We will.
plenty of stuff wrong because I'm just guessing at this point. But you know what? We're not complete geeks.
But we are working on it.
Thank you for listening.
Bye bye.
Bye.